Ian Castleberry joining us for, of course, our Major League Baseball update on this Monday. Ian's appearance presented by the gang at Happy Hill Restaurant. And Ian Castleberry, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay. I'm glad that we have this jackhammer almost literally outside my front door trying to get at this water line that needs to be repaired. I was a little worried that they appear to have stopped just in time for our segment.
It's almost as if they knew. Yes.
Yeah, maybe they're fans. Hi, guys.
Yeah, maybe they'll take a break and listen to the segment. I'm down for that. All right, we'll start first. I've got up what we need to have up, and that is Tommy Lasorda. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But, Ian, I want to get your thoughts right off the bat. 93 years of age. What a life and what a career. What made Lasorda, who was a major league pitcher, had a career 0-4 record, one of baseball's all-time great managers?
Yeah, 93 years old. That is a full life. Tommy Lasorda, I think what makes him particularly special is that he spent 71 years in the Dodgers organization. As you mentioned, a player, he's a scout. Of course, he was a manager for 21 seasons, and after that he worked in the front office as a special advisor. He was there this past fall in Arlington, Texas, when the Dodgers won the World Series. I just don't think you're ever going to see somebody with that length of tenure with a team anymore. I mean, managers are kind of mercenaries now. I mean, you would think guys like Terry Francona with the Red Sox, Joe Madden with the Cubs, I mean, winning World Series there, you would almost think those are manager for life gigs after breaking those long World Series droughts. But, they moved on relatively quickly. But Lasorda, I think also, of course, a huge personality, infamous for some of his post-game tirades, but he was generally very personable with the media, with fans, enjoyed being the face of the franchise. And I think even away from baseball, he was a very well-known personality. I mean, some people listening might remember, he was the face of Slim Fast for a long time, right, when he lost a bunch of weight.
God, that's right.
Lost a bunch of weight drinking those shakes, and I think people looked at Tommy and said, I mean, he was huge for Slim Fast, right? I mean, people saw how much weight Tommy Lasorda lost drinking those shakes, using that product. And I mean, can you imagine any other baseball manager, especially nowadays, of being that sort of a spokesman, getting that kind of endorsement? No way. So I think baseball really misses personalities like Tommy Lasorda. I think there's many reasons why baseball is struggling among fans and exposure, but I think part of it certainly is that the game no longer has personalities like Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah, it's a great point because, with a guy like Lasorda, and here's the thing, is like he brought Hollywood to L.A. I mean, he would have Frank Sinatra and other celebrities just hanging out in his little office. And that's where he would give a lot of these post-game, not even press conferences. It's just some beat writers sitting around a table drinking beer with Lasorda and asking him questions. And there have been many just classic Tommy Lasorda moments, but many will tell you this may be the best. And let me set it up here real quickly. This is May 14th of 1978. The Dodgers just lost to the Chicago Cubs, and Dave Kingman hit 3 home runs. Now, Ian, you know Kingman. His nickname was King Kong Kingman because he either struck out or he hit a 500-foot home run. There was really no in between with Kingman. So Kingman hits 3 home runs, and against the Dodgers, Cubs beat the Dodgers, and afterwards, this writer, had the courage, I guess you could say, to ask Lasorda to kind of, what's your opinion on Dave Kingman's performance?
Paul Olden was the reporter's name. He was a Los Angeles television reporter, and he asked Tommy Lasorda, what did you think of Dave Kingman's performance? Those 3 home runs. And that kind of set Tommy Lasorda off with one of the all-time great responses. All-time rant.
Let's take 45 seconds of quality time on this show to listen to this exchange. And when I say exchange, I mean Tommy Lasorda.
Can you give us just a few basic comments about your feelings on the game?
Well, naturally, I feel bad about losing a ball game like that. There's no way you should lose that ball game, but it just doesn't make sense.
What's your opinion of Kingman's performance?
What's my opinion of Kingman's performance? What the you think is my opinion of it? I think it was put that in. I don't opinion of his performance. He beat us with 3 home runs. What the can you mean? What is my opinion of his performance? How could you ask me a question like that? What is my opinion of his performance? He hit 3 home runs.
There you have it. There's Tommy Lasorda. Thank God that was bleeped out. I did check it multiple times before I put it on the air, Ian. But it's just classic Lasorda, just off the cuff and just giving you just great material.
You know, if he played that for a couple more seconds, it's actually kind of funny because Lasorda actually admitted, he's like, well, I didn't give you a very good answer there. And Olden said, well, it wasn't a very good question.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't the reporters, and you could hear the laughter there.
Oh, yeah.
In the manager's office. I mean, people, even if Lasorda is mad, I think they're also highly entertained by that quote. And, here we are, 30 years later, playing that, more than 30 years later, playing that soundbite. And then, a few years later, there's also sound of this, but I'm pretty sure it's not bleeped out, so not something you can play on the radio. But in 1982, Kurt Bavacqua of the Padres accused Lasorda of ordering his pitcher, Tom Niedenfuhr, to throw at Joe Lefebvre of the Padres. And Lasorda went off on a rant like that, saying, he wouldn't, if he was going to throw at somebody, he wouldn't be throwing at a bleeping 130 hitter like Lefebvre or Bavacqua, who, quote, couldn't hit water if he fell out of a bleeping boat.
That is, and
we just don't have that in baseball anymore. I mean, it's
right?
The game's really lacking that. I mean, I like the way baseball has gone for the most part. I understand what managers are asked to do now, but it really is a long gone era, and I don't think we're going to see very much of that. Not just because we don't have the personalities, but not to hijack a segment on a media rant here, but I don't think we're going to see, especially with COVID and what happens now, the days of, a couple of reporters hanging out in the manager's office and just trading stories and listening and getting quotes. I think those days might be over.
I think you're right. I hope not. Let's hope not. But I'm with you on that. And obviously the higher salaries, baseball is very much a business now and has been for decades. And we've kind of seen the erosion of the characters in Major League Baseball. And that is a disappointment for those of us who grew up following the characters of Major League Baseball, for sure. All right, we move off of Tommy Lasorda. We go to Kyle Schwarber. The Chicago Cubs been rumored to be trading Schwarber for like the last year or two. It finally happened. He's going to the Nats. So why did the Cubs pull the trigger here, Ian?
Well, the Cubs actually let Kyle Schwarber go. They didn't release him, but they did not tender him a contract.
Right, sorry.
After
Thank
the
you.
season, rather than sending him to arbitration. So basically the Cubs decided they didn't want to pay Kyle Schwarber upwards of $8 million. And it turns out their instinct was correct because Schwarber signed with the Nationals for $10 million, a one-year contract. Schwarber,
wow,
he can still hit for power, but his batting average has steadily declined. He had a bad 2020. Now that probably deserves an asterisk next to it because of the shortened COVID-19 season, but he batted 188. He can still get on base, though, and hit for power. 2019, he hit 38 home runs, so he has some serious left-handed power. But another problem with Kyle Schwarber, and I think the Cubs had gotten sort of tired of dealing with this, is that he's not a very good outfielder. He's a former catcher. They tried to move him to left field. Maybe his ideal position is first base or DH, neither of which he's going to play with the Washington Nationals, especially if there's not a universal DH in 2021, as it appears. But serious left-handed power. And right now, the Nats are going to have three big-time left-handed sluggers in their lineup with Schwarber, Josh Bell, who they just acquired from the Pittsburgh Pirates, and, of course, Juan Soto, one of the game's bright young stars. Who's going to be right-handed power for the Nats? That'll remain to be seen. But one more thing about Schwarber. This is a reunion. I think this is why he chose the Nats. Besides the money, Dave Martinez used to be the bench coach with the Cubs under Joe Madden when Schwarber first came up. So I think Schwarber very much wanted to reunite with Dave Martinez. And
by the way, Ian, is Chris Bryant another favorite of Cubs fans? Is he next on the trade block?
He almost certainly is. I mean, if the Cubs wanted to save money by letting Kyle Schwarber go, if Bryant goes to arbitration, projections have him to make $19 million, possibly maybe $20 million. And the Cubs, they just traded Yu Darvish, non-tendered Kyle Schwarber. I don't think they're interested in paying Chris Bryant that much money over 1 year. Now, the question is to find the best trade fit The most intriguing might be the New York Mets, who they just got Francisco Lindor in a big trade, a left side of the infield with Chris Bryant and Francisco Lindor. I mean, that would just be spectacular to watch. The Nats might also be interested in Chris Bryant. They've been attached to him in trade rumors for a long time. They're definitely seeking a third baseman. They might be going after Eugenio Suarez from the Reds. But other teams, Blue Jays, have shown interest in Chris Bryant, the Dodgers even, and the Braves were, I think, circling around Chris Bryant, but unless this is just kind of a smokescreen, the latest seems to be that they're going to commit to Austin Riley at third base and pursue getting an outfielder rather than trading for somebody like Chris Bryant.
Sure.
But yes, it sounds like the Cubs want to trade Chris Bryant.
Well, it makes sense. Ian Castleberry joins the Wise Guys on the D.C. Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines. We're talking Major League Baseball headlines presented by our friends at Happy Hill Restaurant. All right, a former Angels clubhouse attendant says pitcher Garrett Cole doctored baseballs. Ooh, I'm liking where this is going. All right, Ian, looks like a lawsuit could be damaging to Cole and the Angels, but who, by the way, may be anything but Angels after this.
Yeah, the clubhouse attendant, a longtime clubhouse attendant, his name is Brian Harkins. He was fired last March by the Angels, and maybe part of the reason for that was because he supplied substances to doctor the balls. Not only for Angels pitchers, but as you pointed out, Garrett Cole, he did not play for the Angels, so he's helping out opposing pitchers as well. Supposedly, Harkins originally with Troy Percival in the 1990s, kind of amateur chemists here, creating this sticky substance, a combination of rosin, pine tar, and something called, I think it's Moda Stick, which is supposed to be a firmer pine tar, and they would combine this in the bottom of a soda can and melt it with a lighter. And this apparently was a big-time sticky substance, and every time pitchers would visit the Angels, as Garrett Cole allegedly sent text messages here looking to get some of that quote-unquote sticky stuff to work with when he's playing. I don't know if I think this is particularly scandalous. I mean, obviously the rules say you are not supposed to apply a foreign substance to the baseball. But I think this is one of those things where all the pitchers do it. I mean, next time baseball is being played, if you see pitchers with particularly shiny forearms, for instance, that's not necessarily because they're sweating. It's because their forearms are drenched in sunscreen mixed with rosin, and, they're rubbing their arms and they're getting like a tacky substance on their hands. Of course, we've heard stories about pine tar under the bill.
Oh, yeah.
I think from some aspects, I think it's actually safer for pitchers to have a better grip on the ball. Now, of course, you can get a faster spin rate and so forth and get a tight break on sliders and breaking balls. But, if pitchers don't necessarily have a good grip on the baseball and can't control it as well, that can be dangerous as well. So, yes, it's against the rules. Maybe I'm being naive about this, but I feel like pitchers, everybody does this, and I don't know how scandalous this really is. I kind of feel like if batters can apply pine tar to bats, why can't pitchers, they can use rosin, they are not allowed to use pine tar, but combining the two, is it terribly illegal? By the rule book, it is, but I'm not so sure in theory that it's that bad.
Yeah, stand by. More to come on this story. Ian, I'm looking at the clock here, about 20 seconds. Alabama and OSU, Ohio State. Who do you like in tonight's college football championship?
Well, not just because I cannot, in good conscience, pick Ohio State or root for Ohio State as a Michigan fan, but I truly do think Alabama is the better team. Their offense is unstoppable. I think their defense is just good enough to beat Ohio State, but I hope this is a great game. If Ohio State plays the way they did against Clemson, it's difficult to imagine them losing to anybody. But I do think Alabama's offense ultimately is going to be the edge in this game.
All right. Appreciate you as always, my man. That's Ian Castleberry with us. Good stuff on the way. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Pat.
Thanks so much, Ian.
Sure.
Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys, presented by Happy Hill Restaurant, feeding Asheville since 1967.